If, as a black belt, you know, if you go say, well, I'm going to give a self-defense seminar for women, the media generally will look very skeptical on you. And the reason for that is that the police departments and law enforcement agencies do not agree with the concept of a self-defense class, okay? Neither do I, all right? So for all intents and purposes, this is not a self-defense class, okay? That's why I call it the art of escape instead of self-defense for women. I think probably a lot of times we think about, we all have fears. And I think that when you talk about being a woman, or even in being a man, you know, assault, whether it's a male or female to male, is a very serious fear that most people have. And I think if I asked you all now how many of you are afraid of some type of assault and have a deep-seated fear, you know, raise your hands. I'm sure you would all raise your hands. Women in particular, but when I bring adults in here and I talk to men, men have that same fear. Okay, it's just a different type of fear, but it's there. And confronting these fears and facing these fears does a lot in building your confidence. Okay, so the only way that you can overcome a fear is to face it. And that's one of the things we do here. My answer to this is the art of escape. The art of escape basically is lesson 1 in an art form called Aikido. How many of you heard that before? Okay. Most karate schools teach karate, which is the art of kicking and punching. And it's important to know the distinction. In karate, we kick, we punch, and we block. In jiu-jitsu, somebody's grabbed you, and you get away from it by using a kick, a punch, a block, plus something else. In Aikido, there's generally not a kick or a punch involved. It's just a manipulation that's involved, a balance or whatever. In Aikido, it's much harder to learn, much more difficult to learn than karate. But I think it's a mistake just to learn Aikido. I think it's a mistake just to learn karate. And most karate schools just teach karate, and they make you think that it's deadly and that you're going to be Bruce Lee and that you're going to be able to, you know, knock out anybody. That's not the case. Karate is one thing, jiu-jitsu, Aikido are two different things. But when you put them together, you have a well-rounded position and a well-rounded situation for defense. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to learn several little tricks. And what we're going to do is we're going to set ourselves up so that you think first, and then by thinking, you rationalize what you're going to do. The best way to start this is to, let me have you come out here. What's your name?
Laura.
Laura, okay. Laura, just turn and face them for a second. What you all need to do right now is you need to establish a bubble, okay? And that bubble is a protective coating that you're going to place around yourself. And that protective coating is something that you're not going to allow anybody to break, okay? So what you have to do is you have to say, where is my coating? Let's turn this way. Okay, imagine a big bubble around you right now, okay? And I'm back here. And when I walk into your bubble, say stop.
Stop.
Okay, so right here, I'm not sure, this is probably a good spot. I'm a little close. I would put your bubble a little further away. I think your bubble should be right about here, okay? So what you have to do first is you have to create a bubble around yourself. And any time that something happens to penetrate that bubble, okay, the word stop is a very good word to say. But can you all think of a better word? Fire. No. No. Okay? What's the first thing you learned when you were a baby? What was the first word you learned? No. And believe it or not, a man responds, and women respond to the word no. You just don't say no. If you come towards me and you penetrate my bubble, I'm going to blow into this microphone here in a second, okay? Just warning you. All right? You can keep this running. As she comes in, come penetrate my bubble. No! Notice I also put my hand out to the edge of my bubble. So my bubble is now here, and I said no, and she stopped, didn't she? Did I ask you to stop? No, but you stopped. And try this, you know, and I hesitate to tell you to try this against boyfriends and girlfriends and brothers and sisters and fathers and stuff, because they're going to come at you like, well, I'm going to show them. Okay, I'm going to show them that this doesn't work. Ha, ha, ha. Well, in a realistic situation, that's not what he's thinking. Okay, the assaulter is coming at you and saying, I'm going to get that person, and they don't think that way. They're not thinking about they're not thinking about what you're going to do to them. They're thinking about what they're going to do to you. Now, when you have a father or a brother or whatever, a boyfriend trying it on you to learn what it is you know, he's got a different idea in mind, so it doesn't work the same way. What you have to do is explain to him, look, I don't want you to be a smart ass and try to show me what you can do against me. I just want you to do what you would normally do in this situation. You know, try to explain to him that you're looking for realism rather than an attitude. Okay? So as she comes in, come in at me. No! She stopped. Okay? It won't be very long because I said no and she went, like you did it to me again. Okay? But she stopped. And where did she stop? At the edge of my bubble. And when I put my hand out, okay, that kind of gives me a chance to space ourselves. Now, if she kept coming into my hand, okay, what would I do? Come at me. I would back up. Why would I back up? Because I'm keeping my bubble intact. If I stood here and let her come into my hand, okay, now she's in my bubble. I don't want her in my bubble. Okay? Thank you. You can go back in line. Just thanks, get me out of here. All right. So the word no, with violence in your voice, a determination, with a loud, auditory response, helps. Now, if you say no, you've got to mean it. Here I am. I'm open. Everything is open. But when I stand sideways, how much of it is open? Okay, now let me just pick one of you guys out here. Let me pick Laura here. Can you see where I'm open? You don't have to come forward. See how little of me is exposed as opposed to this? Okay, so inside my bubble, I'm going to stand sideways, and I'm going to put my hand up. Okay? Now, your first name again? Bell. Bev? Bell. Okay. Bell, come here for a moment if you would. Okay, and since I've got a microphone on, Paul, why don't you come out here? Okay? Now, it's very easy for Paul to grab you forward like this. He can come right around your arms and grab. I'm not going to ask him to, but he can come around and grab you like that, right? Just reach your arms out to grab around her. Now, if she was standing right here, see how easy it is? But now, when she stands sideways, what is there to grab? Not much. It's much harder to grab somebody. What a great sense of humor. Okay. It's much harder to grab somebody from sideways than it is from a forward position, okay? And I can demonstrate that perfectly, okay? Paul, just stand back 1 second, okay? All right? Stand sideways and grab her. She's standing sideways. No, she's standing sideways. Just grab her. Okay, now what are you going to do from there?
I don't know.
Okay. No, not you. I'm talking to Paul.
Oh.
What are you going to do? Okay, throw her down. But if he's facing forwards in this direction, who has the advantage? He has a tremendous advantage from a forward position, and he has less of an advantage from a sideward position. There's less he can do when you stand sideways. He can hit you. It's much more difficult to get hit from a sideways position, and it's much more difficult for him to assault you in a forward position. If you're like this, okay, an assault can happen. I don't need to mention how, but from this way, there's not as much physical contact. Okay? So the sideways position is the preferred position. Now, you go back over to here, Belle, right in that little space there. Okay, back up for a second, Paul. So if I'm standing sideways to you, Belle, okay, that's my first step. Now I've got my bubble, I've got my hand out. If you make a fist, what's going to happen? That's a signal to him that you want to fight. If you slap him, that's a signal of violence, that you want to fight him and resist him. Guys like that, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to stand sideways with your hands open. I like to say it's like a Jack Benny impression. Learn to talk with your hands and have your hands up. Now, it looks like I'm just talking to you with my hands up. But the reality of it is I have a guard up. I have protection now. If I made a fist and was going to be a fighter, look what I got. I've got a guard. By having this position here, I can do 1,000 things to protect myself that I couldn't do if my hands were down here or if I had a fist. By having my hands up here, I'm going to start talking now. So after you say no, remember the first thing is the bubble. Second thing is saying no, spacing yourself. There's your hand out, stand sideways. Now you have your hands up, and a conversation can ensue. When you have the conversation, you don't want to say things that are going to make the person mad. What you want to do, I tell this to kids. A bully comes up to them and says, I want your money. Kid says, no, man, you can't have my money. What's the bully going to do? The bully's going to fight you. okay? If you say you want my money.
I want your money.
Why? Oh, did you see what happened to her? Did you see what happened to her? Her eyes rolled up in her head because I made her do something that she wasn't expecting to do, right? I made you think in another direction. So all of a sudden, she wants the money, but now I'm asking her why. So she says, I need it. Yeah, but that's exactly what she did. She goes, I need it, okay? But what have we done already? We've made her think of something else. In other words, by her saying, what have I done? I've stopped her a little longer. First I said no, I've stopped her for a second, then I've responded to her needs by saying something that makes her go off in another direction. So now for a little bit, for that little time where you had your eyes rolled up in your heads and you were thinking for an answer, she wasn't attacking me. Okay? So we've stretched it out a little bit further now. Okay? And now you say, because I need it, right? Is that what you said? Okay, say that, because I need it.
Because I need it.
Why?
Because I want to buy some candy.
Okay, that's perfect, okay? Because you want to buy some candy. Hey, I got some candy. You want some of my candy?
I don't want your candy.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Let's go over to the store there, and I'll buy you a piece of candy. How's that sound? Okay, she's stuck again. The point is, I'm just keeping her conversing, okay? Now, let's take an assault situation, okay? We'll just change the situation. I'm you, you're me, okay? Who's pretty vocal? Susan, come out here a second. Let me see that. I picked on poor Belle enough here. Here, go back in that line. Let's keep a distance here. Okay, Susan. Okay, this is assault. You're the man now, okay? All your fantasies come true. Okay, what would you say as a man now? Is assault going to happen here? What are you going to say? Women aren't taught to do this. Men are. It happens at a very beginning, early age for men to learn how to be aggressive.
Come over here.
Why?
Come here, I want you to.
Well, I'll come over there, but, you know, I feel really comfortable here. Why do I have to come over there?
Come over here now.
Well, what have I done? I've stood sideways. She's outside of my bubble. I've got my hands. He's telling me I got to talk to me like I'm a little kid. Okay? Well, what are you going to do if I come over there? See, that's not going to happen, really. She's going to come. The man's going to come at you. He's not going to stand there. You know, but that's the idea, is you stretch out the conversation. Okay? If you can come up with a more realistic conversation, maybe drawn from a personal experience, you know, try that. Okay? And let's see what happens in the dialogue. Now remember, first thing you say is no. Second thing you do is create your bubble. Third thing you do is put your hand out as they come forward. Last thing you do is stand sideways. You get the hands up, and you talk with your hands. Through the whole time, I talked to Susan with my hands up. I talked to Belle with my hands up.